Welcome, everyone, to a Deep Look into the Paranormal Podcast. I am myself, Jennifer. This is my wonderful husband, David. And today we are going to discuss a familiar place, as you can see, that everyone can associate with in some degree, just so you can kind of get a feel for it. Um, what is your take and interest on Winchester Mystery House? What do you find fascinating about it?
Um, I've always had a passing curiosity into the paranormal. I've always liked interesting things that cannot be properly explained. And I know among this one, it's more of an explanation of the person more than the unexplained. What was really behind her motivations and was driving her to do what she did.
Exactly. Okay. Most of you know Sarah Winchester, but her original name was actually Sarah Lockwood Pardee or Pardee before she married her husband William Wirt Winchester. Um, Sarah was actually born in 1839 in New Haven, Connecticut. Um, she did die on September 5th of 1922 in San Jose, California, due to congestive heart failure and rheumatoid arthritis issues. She was eventually buried by her husband in New Haven, whom he was actually the second owner of the Winchester repeating firearms company, and he was originally the treasurer. He still was the treasurer and gained ownership of the company. But he was born on June 22nd. It would help if I wear my glasses too. um, he was born on June 22nd, 1837, in Baltimore, Maryland. Before he moved, to New Haven. He died March 7th, 1881, from tuberculosis. They did have one child named Annie, who unfortunately passed away 5.5 weeks after her own birth due to what would be considered starvation. It's not that it was her parents' fault. It was um, the food scarcity throughout everywhere. The local area around New Haven. Um, so she basically was deprived of, precious nutritions and various things. But they loved her. She was also buried by her husband. Their daughter was in New Haven. What do you think about how how about this family? I should say they were a wealthy family, and even they were suffering from food shortages. Even with their doctors that they had, they because they would you know try to get the best care out there, but still it wasn't enough.
Money can only buy so many things.
That is true. That is very true. Um, but let's see here. As you can see on the image, that is what the Winchester House looked originally. Okay. Um, what it looks a lot like today. However, if you look at this picture, which is very grainy, this is what the original house looked like. This is what Sarah purchased when she was told by her doctors to move to a warmer climate for her own health and well-being. That she bought this 8 bedroom farmhouse. show you a better picture. There we go. That's actually Sarah right over here in this horse-drawn carriage. That's part of the house there, but it actually wasn't too bad of a looking house if you honestly think about it. Well, she did leave New Haven because of, her depression, her health issues, the deaths of her loved ones. She couldn't remain in one place that not only had so many positive memories, but a lot of negative memories as well.
I mean, so far this is pretty normal. There's nothing too out of the ordinary about this story.
No, there isn't. Um, she did offer and invite some of her family to move in with her. Um, she seemed like a respectable woman in society. Uh, she was one of the wealthiest women out there. She only had half the shares of the Winchester Repeating Arms Company and about $20 million in other assets and Winchester companies.
Is that 20 million back then or 20 million today?
20 million back then.
Okay,
And she
I
was,
got I got to Google how much that is. 20 million, 1922.
we'll get to that. We'll definitely get to that.
Okay, we're
Um,
gonna get. Okay, I was
yeah.
just curious.
But the fact is, you know, um, sh like I said, she bought this house. She named it. I'm not sure how you pronounce this name of this place. It's like Oh, hold on, I'm checking my notes for what it was called. Do-do-do-do-do.
That's the beauty of being color commentary. I have no notes.
Yeah, Lilianda Villa, I believe it is. How do you say it? It's Lanada Villa. She. My thing is, guess how much she bought that house for?
1922, 8 bedroom. Oh, you said it was 8 bedroom?
Yes, it was an 8 bedroom home or
Uh,
farmhouse.
I'm gonna say 12,000.
Close. It's $12,570, and it was a 45-acre ranch.
I would have totally won that on Price is Right.
Price is right. How about deal or no deal? But
Uh,
um, but that's what the house looked like before its transformation. Okay. Um, she also, while there, started seeing a spiritualist. She started dabbling in the occult for personal purposes of trying to commune with her deceased husband and daughter to see if they could still talk to each other, which we will discuss
so
about. Hmm?
this is when the crazy started coming in.
Yes, this is definitely when the crazy stuff started coming in. People started thinking she was insane. People started thinking she was eccentric or maybe something altogether different. Um, but all they knew and cared about was she had the money, so they let her do it. It's like the old saying, no, money talks and bullshit walks.
And she had enough money to do a lot of talking.
Yes. Um, she when she dabbled or was starting to dabble into the occult and started doing seances and various things like that, she was in fact op- opening portals that she clearly didn't know how to close properly. Because whenever you do seances, it opens a door. And with anything like a house or a car, you have to close that door. Other,
Well, from what I know, what I remember, she really liked doors. Doors of all sizes, all shapes, all angles. So maybe it was some physical doors, maybe some spiritual doors. But we do. Do you have the number of doors that are actually in the house?
No, I don't.
Okay.
If you want, you can look that up. But these spiritual doors, because she had like seances at like midnight, you know, uh, or at the witching hour, I believe it is, where the veil was at its thinnest, and that's why it may have caused some of the issues. But she was told that she was cursed because of the Winchester fire or repeating arms gun that came out, that well-known rifle that is still, you know, either someone somewhere owns one or it's on display somewhere. But the fact is that that gun caused so many deaths that angry spirits that the good spirits were telling her about had cursed her and her whole family, and that if she did not do this remodel, this rebuild of sorts, and keep building and keep renovating, that the evil spirits or the bad spirits would come and get her and take her life as well as
Okay.
it did her husband's and her daughter's.
Playing devil's advocate here. Whether or not you believe in spirituality, whether or not you believe in an afterlife,
Hmm?
do you think that this was someone just trying to take advantage of a rich, eccentric lady who told her this story?
It could be, and that's the thing is the way I see it, that where I can agree with you on this is because her mental state was not exactly good. So she could have very well started hallucinating and thinking that the spirits or the spiritualists were in fact telling her to do these things to um to make
Do
money.
we know the spiritualist who first told her that? Did they ever document that?
Not from what I found, but she eventually started dabbling more into the cult herself. So that's why I think, you know, that saying that, the voices in your head thing kind of scenario was telling her that the good spirits that she was in contact with during her seances were telling her to, build this thing, to keep building, to save her life, to protect her. Because in doing so and making these mazes and these stairwells that go to nowhere, doors that go to nowhere, the different levels, towers, shapes, zigzags that pass. I mean, this place is, you could literally get lost in it quite easily. Um,
Okay.
it
Just curious. And this is for everyone who sees this, and if you're listening, this is just my own curiosity. Do you really think the contractor was whispering in an event in the middle of the night? Build more, build more.
it could be a possibility. There are many theories out there why, you know?
Because whoever was the main contractor on this, they made a killing. It,
Quite literally. Um,
Whenever we get into the house specifics, I did find out the number of doors. So just remind me.
okay, no problem. As you know, the house began to transform in what it is today. Okay, this is the final product. Mind you, this is not finished. So you can see that was her husband, but with Sarah, she continued to, like I said, build um, different archways, angles, slopes, hallways, doors that opened up, and if you took a step, would fall down into the kitchen or 2 stories below onto the floor. I mean, it is crazy. But how many doors were there?
All right. From what I found, there are 2,000 doors.
Yep. And with the windows, um, there was also like where she held her seance. There was like 13 hooks, 13, of stripes, I believe it was. But regardless, there were specific numbers and specific patterns she used during this renovation. And during the during 1906, oh, I did not get a picture of that one, but during 1906, the seven-story tower that was attached to it, and an entire wing of the house, and most of the chimneys in Daisy's bedroom, who was her favorite niece, by the way, collapsed. So they had to clear away the rubble and continue and do repairs and continue building all over. I mean, there were times where they had to stop for whatever reason, but they continued like relatively quickly, like a month or so later. Um, let's see. Doo-doo-doo. Um, there are, like we were talking about earlier, about her mental state. There are many reasons and ideas on why she did the oddly designed house. Some of it could have been depression. She had like PTSD or something from the death of her daughter and husband, and it brought her comfort to just keep doing something, keep her mind off of it, and it transpired. Um, so a form of distraction, you know. She also, um,
Okay.
yes,
I have a question.
go ahead.
Um, from what I'm remembering, there were a lot of rumors of her being attached to a variety of secret societies. Are we gonna go over that?
If you know them, go for it, please.
Well, some of the things I've heard from because I will fully admit I listen to a lot of podcasts
Hmm.
and mystery podcasts are one of my favorite. But there were rumors of Sarah Winchester being associated with both the Illuminati, the Freemasons. Um, it, it just basically they were throwing stuff at the wall to see if it stuck for where she was getting her symbolism.
Okay.
Because if you look at everything around the house, it doesn't follow like one codified belief structure. It's kind of like a pile of occult soup.
Yes.
Whatever she thought would work, she kind of just threw together. But I didn't know if there was any actual concrete. She was associated with this occult iconography. Icon iconography. Nope, that word is not going to work.
I understand what you're saying.
Symbol.
Um, honestly, I'm about to say something about that in regards. She definitely dabbled in the occult. That has been proven. Um, she there are talks that she was like we said mentally disturbed or just eccentric, but regardless of the reasoning behind all this, the only one who truly knows the truth is Sarah herself. Everything else is hearsay. If you think about it, because people will like to sit here and act like a friend to you, but
Well,
turn
she would
around
have
and
parties.
yeah, and then
She would
turn
have
around and
seance
say
parties.
stuff.
I know that.
Yeah, she got to the point where her rheumatoid arthritis disfigured her feet and her hands. Like she could barely lift her feet. That's why in
Oh,
part of the house there are those little steps that are only like
the
maybe an inch or
the
two.
itty bitty steps. I've
Yes,
seen those,
yes.
and I've got short legs. I'm like, those would be wonderful.
But the zigzag pattern just to get up to the next level, and the short ceiling. But
I'm okay with short ceilings.
not too short though. I'd get claustrophobic. Um, but the thing is, after Sarah died due to her failing health and rheumatoid arthritis, all the work and construction workers, once they found out she died, dropped everything and walked out. There are still nails halfway hammered in, still at different parts of the house, and there were tools and various things lying about. They didn't even finish the construct or remodel of this estate.
You know what that tells me, right?
What?
She was paying, but she wasn't paying them that well.
Yes. Or maybe some of the supposed or rumored supernatural occult occurrences. There we go. Had already started and they were frightened. Well,
That's altogether possible. Um,
um, let's see here. Um, either way, with all that has gone on, was the house, or why was and is the house considered haunted? That brings me back to her seances and the possible opening of portals. What do you think?
I was on mute. I apologize, everyone. That was very unprofessional of me.
Okay.
But what
What do you? Yeah.
from a perspective of she started seances, she tried to invite things in. I mean, we do not know for certain what causes hauntings. I mean, there's ways to try and find evidence. There's strange things that do happen. There's a plethora of new technology we have in this day and age that tries to map it, track it,
Yes.
and
And it's
especially
been
record it.
yes, and it's been proven that ghosts do exist.
But playing devil's advocate for the people who
Skeptics.
do not believe, and the skeptics, um, that house is built to confuse and confound people, living or otherwise. So
Yes.
whether
Yes.
or not it's haunted, it's still a place that is going to give you weird feelings. It is a place that's going to make you question what
Uneasy.
exactly everything's going on.
Yes.
It is, like you said, a maze.
And
So
it
even if it was not haunted, that is still one of the creepiest places to be stuck in the middle of the night with no lights on.
yeah. Well, another reason that could be sorry about that. That could be the reason behind the hauntings. Is not only her, she may not have even created the hauntings. You know, even though some of them, I'll discuss those particular hauntings in a little bit. But when people enter a place, they bring energy with them, and sometimes if enough people go to a place or go from haunted house to haunted house, they'll bring energy with them. And when they go to leave, maybe they might leave some of that energy behind. And if you get spooked enough and, release that energy unknowingly, because most times you don't know about it, you could create what is called an egregore, which becomes an entity itself, not human, not demonic, just it. It often resembles uh, like shadowy figures at times, or you could just feel the presence, like you are not alone, and you can see your hair visibly rise. So the
You
possibility.
know, that is fascinating. And because I know in other cultures,
Mhm.
there is a creature known as, I believe it's a tulpa. Tulpas are created by a joint belief, and they're powered by that very belief. The So if you believe something and 10,000 other people believe the same thing, that energy projection that you have of that belief can manifest. That's the basis of a tulpa. There's other things that go into it, but it's the same thing that led to a wondering if Slender Man actually became real.
Well, that's the thing. A
There,
lot of a lot of games, a lot of movies that are based around serial killers and stuff like that, like Jason, Michael Myers, what have you, um, are based on truth, and people don't know that. A lot of people don't know that.
one of these episodes, we need to go over the possible person who was the basis for Pinhead from the
How
Hellraiser
about
series.
all? Oh, sorry, I thought my cat got into the room. Um, I do apologize. A session where we talk about these movie serial killers, games, horror things. We might have to do that for a session. But
Okay, can I say something for YouTube?
go ahead.
Please comment down below which movie serial killer you'd want us to do a deep dive into to see what it actually came from and the real life counterparts to it. Whether or not
Oh,
that serial
nice.
killer inspired others or was inspired by others, because I think that would be a fascinating. It'd be nice to see what people are interested in.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. Um, and now back to the mystery house. The types of haunts that are supposedly well documented, various ghost hunters, investigators, or paranormal investigators have gone to this house repeatedly and had same, eh, encounters or evidence, and sometimes they left with nothing at all. There are people out there that believe that this place is truly not haunted. But how would you explain the full body apparitions and the noises and disembodied conversations if it's not haunted? Then, when you look at it from their point of view, well, someone could put a music box or a speaker in the wall.
Well,
But
that and this place is so confounded the way it's built. You don't know if someone talking in the kitchen could be echoing into the living room through a different hallway that you don't really see. And
that
for
is a
all the
possibility.
construction that's been done to it, it's very hard to tell what's still settling, what's just creaking from old age. The house itself is one of those marvels of engineering, but there's so many different styles of engineering that go into it. It's really hard to rule out the house itself, ghost, paranormal, otherwise, not just being its own kind of entity, its own kind of manifestation. It was built to confound, and hundreds, maybe thousands of people every year go there for that experience of that confounding. In many
Yes.
ways, I wonder if this thing itself is becoming its own living maze.
Yes, it's definitely, I think so. Well, it is a maze, literally. Um, because of, I mean, they've got stairways that literally lead to nowhere. You just go up to a roof of the next floor. Um,
And please watch out for the doors that open to just second story down, no stairs out.
yeah, they usually keep those locked just in case for protection. Um, but I do have some notation on some of the uh, possible hauntings reported or notated. One in specific is a residual haunting. What residual haunting is basically the entity or spirit is going through the motions of what they did in their daily lives. They have no recollection or no they don't acknowledge or can't acknowledge that they are, dead. So they don't know you as a visitor or an investigator are there. They will not interact with you. They just go through the motion, and then it's like rewound and gone through the motion again. Um,
In modern terms, this is just a person's day to day stuck on a loop.
yes,
It's a Groundhog Day for
the
them.
one you can say that, yeah. Um, the most well-known residual haunting there is the wheelbarrow man. Um, he's often seen pushing a wheelbarrow full of either um, coal or ash in the basement, and sometimes he can be seen outside as well. Um, my thinking is that he would bring the coal in for maybe the heating system of the house at that time. And when they went to clean out the heating system, he took the ash back up. Did that make sense? But that's my own opinion or suggestion on that.
If I'm remembering things correctly, ash can also be used in the making of concrete
That's
under
what
certain
could, yeah,
circumstances.
yeah. Um, there are also been noted shadow figures. Um, one in particular appearing in many of the windows. Some, or a lot of people actually, believe that it is Sarah herself still looking over the renovations of her house. That's pretty neat. Um, she actually, speaking of Sarah, she actually did die in the house, in that house. Um, let's see here. There are also noted phantom tugs, meaning physical touch, of being felt like someone's had a hold of your arm or tugged on your clothes or your hair, and you're not, and you think maybe you got caught on someone fast, and you look around and you're not anywhere near anything. You start to think, oh, maybe I imagined it, or you ask your friend if they're there with you, did you just do that? What would you think if you were physically touched or tugged on by a ghost?
This is one of those things where, unless it's happening to you, it's really hard to see any proof of it.
Yes,
And unless you're under like constant video footage, it's because I know when you're looking at the paranormal, there's both sides of the arguments on belief and not belief. Uh,
yeah,
and the people who want to believe versus the people who want to prove versus the people who want to disprove. Physical
yes,
touch is just one of those things that unless you're the one experiencing it, it's really hard to put any real substance into it. It's a personal story, but even looking at crime statistics, the worst kind of evidence is eyewitness testimony because people, no matter good intentions, bad intentions, are not reliable. That, that's
that's true.
that's my
It's
only
like
problem
you,
with that type as an evidence.
yeah, it's like you sit here, you could say all of that, but without, like you said, a photograph, which the term a picture is worth a thousand words, you know, can come into effect.
And even video evidence, you really have to scrutinize it. I mean,
Yes,
there's some great evidence out there on a lot of
that
paranormal channels of stuff moving,
that is
but there's
legit,
but there's always that nagging of was there something else?
or
Could
was
it have
it,
been something else?
or was it edited or falsified? Yeah, so you're always going to have that confrontation or that conflict, and like you said, and until it happens to you or you see it, you won't believe it actually happens, or that it happened, or is
And
even
sadly,
real.
I think that's one of the problems with this house. Trying to prove it or disprove it, it's built as a fun house. So even if you're seeing something, you don't know if it's just because there's 15 different windows in a row and you're seeing a reflection from the highway.
Or your own shadow.
It's or your own shadow just catching a different glare somewhere here and there.
Yep,
It,
you're right.
this house is beautiful and crazy, but looking into it, it's one of those mixed bags, and it tends to make itself. It tends to disprove itself as much as it proves itself, and that's a frustrating part of what I know of this place.
Yeah. Um, but there's also rumors of audible footsteps walking when no one's moving. But then you can, like with the photos or videos, is someone else doing it, and you're hearing, like you said, hearing an echo.
I know, and I'll fully admit I like footsteps.
Hmm.
Hearing that, because that's one of the things you can catch on audio, and it's very easy to tell if that's a person or is that something moving out of joint. But if you know that you're the only person in that area,
That's when it gets kind of nerve wracking.
yeah, because footsteps, that pattern, humans are built to recognize patterns, and when you hear that dunk 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 of someone walking, it just clicks.
Especially if it's like a boot, you hear heel toe, heel toe.
My one coworker loves wearing his cowboy boots. I know exactly where he's at every time in the building whenever he's coming close by because he is very. You know it. It's
Yes.
distinct. You hear it, and you don't really expect people from 1912 to have soft soled shoes or sneakers. So it's one of those. It's very distinct, but you recognize it. But
Yes.
most day and age, you don't hear that from people who are just walking around in their sneakers.
No, you. It has to be like a hard soled shoe, and the
And for
closest.
the just think of it this way,
Mhm.
energy. The like you said, the residual energy.
Right.
How many workers were working at that place at one time? Walking up and down, all the
Many.
steps, down the hallways, and the number of parties she had. Just the
Mhm.
countless number of people who've gone through that place.
Yes. Um, there is another well-known entity that still roams apparently the halls. His name is apparently Clyde. He is known for his mustache. I don't know much about Clyde other than he roams the halls just like Sarah does. Maybe he was the
Clyde it
foreman.
was Clyde. Didn't he live? Wasn't he reported to have lived in the building while it was being under construction?
Yeah, and that's why I think he was like the foreman or something. I am honestly not sure, but I do know that there's also rumors of people hearing disembodied voices and full conversations from what sounds like people working on the house, but there's no one actively working on the house. They keep it up and keep it um, restored on what they can, but there's no active renovation or construction going on there.
And that leads me to believe more, like you said, towards residual.
Yes,
Um,
that would be considered
from what I remember,
residual.
from what I remember hearing about Clyde, he's like very specifically the downstairs area,
Mhm.
and you see him most often near a bathroom where there's a small room. So if he was staying there, it's probably where he spent a good majority of his life, and it's just that energy playing out over and over again.
Yeah, but with
The
this
place
all,
that
go ahead.
I don't know if I'm skipping ahead or not. The place that intrigues me the most is like the witch's room.
Yeah, which I
That
believe is in the tower.
yes, it's like the top of the tower, and that the build of that place because I believe that's like you said, 13 hooks. Is
Um,
that room?
no, that's the seance room.
I thought they used that room for seances as well too.
They may have at one point. All I know is like if you stand directly in the middle of that tower, the acoustics in there is mind blowing.
Yeah, and that's why I was
And
saying
it,
earlier. The architecture of this place, all the different architectures are amazing. Structurally, it's a. If you ever get the chance to go there and look at it,
mhm.
even if you're not taking into the paranormal side, admire the beauty and craftsmanship that was put into this. I mean,
Yes. Just looking at this picture, I just want to go there and look at it. I want to see not so much see and experience the supernatural, which I do love. I love the occult. But just to marvel at what it looks like on the inside and take a possible tour because I would not want to get lost because I have
no,
bad
no,
sense of
definitely don't
direction.
want to get lost. I'm okay. I don't need to see the basement. I'm good with that. Uh, I, I I'm not a big fan of stairs, but I'll go up. I don't want to go down.
Yeah. Um. Um. But with that, you got to think: is this real? Or could it be the lights and shadows playing tricks, or maybe your own fear scaring you and making you think something happened, or was it
Yeah,
actually an
this
entity?
place will get in your head. It's as simple as
Seriously,
that.
in your head. Seriously, I agree with you 100%. It is meant to confuse. Um, let's see here. If you, the viewer who's watching this later, has ever come in contact with an entity, um, please share your story with us. Or if you want to keep it private, say you can tell me to email, or I'll tell. I would like to talk to you about the spirit or my experience, but can you email me? And I will give you my email in response. Um, and if you're comfortable with me talking about it on a podcast, I will discuss it with my husband here and any of my community who joins us as well. And we will try and look into it and see if we can't find any history on your area and definitely make something of it. Um, and speaking of this, I would also like um, any of my viewers that have been to the Winchester house, tell me about your visit in the comments. Did you experience anything, or did you not? Did you not feel weird, or anything? Um, let's see here. Don't you think that would be a good thing for the comments as well, from our viewers?
Oh, I'd love to go over that. That'd be
Yeah,
great.
and we
Uh,
will respond to every
Standard
viewer,
disclosures.
every comment.
We, we are in no way affiliated with the Travel Board of California. We are in no way affiliated with any sort of planner or trip vacation planner. We cannot help you with that aspect of it.
Nope. And we're not
Though I
trying
do
to
know
give
that
free
they do
publicity.
book.
Yes, they do book, but we're not giving them free publicity or anything, or they didn't ask us for publicity. Just trying to showcase it and talk and discuss about it. Um, Also, let's see here. Okay, I've got a curious thing.
Go
Would
ahead.
you go to a place like that? where you could possibly come in with contact with spirits. Would you do it?
Yeah, that 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 does not bother me. I'm more worried about some places having asbestos than I am worried about ghosts.
That is cancer causing, unfortunately. Yeah. Um, but I do also have a warning for everybody. Um, Never do a paranormal investigation alone because anything could possibly happen.
Let's just make that a standardary thing. Never go into an abandoned building by yourself. Never break
Have
into some place by yourself.
yes,
Don't
and
break in with friends either. Just gonna say that. Just don't break into places.
I may have done that once or twice.
This is why I'm saying don't do it alone.
Yep, but I was with friends.
I, which do not ever. Uh, this is all theoretical. Okay, we're gonna say it that way.
Yeah,
Allegedly,
theoretical.
never admit to breaking and entering on a podcast.
No, no. I actually am a paranormal investigator, and I do paranormal investigations with a few of my friends. I usually am the one who provides the equipment for them, but make sure when you ever, if you ever do delve into the occult and do a paranormal investigation, that you get permission from the owner of wherever you're going first, because you don't need cops pulling up on you and trespassing you. That is for
Allegedly,
sure. And it's a strong advisement to get permission first. Um, would you? Not would you? Let me rewind a bit and go back to the warning. Another reason why you don't want to be alone is you could seriously get hurt, and if you got hurt, would there be around you if you had no cell phone signal or you left your phone in the car? Um, you can also possibly gain an attachment if you don't know how to cleanse yourself or take precautions, or even worse.
I'm just gonna give some sound advice. Anytime you go anywhere, even with friends, make sure someone who is not with you is aware of where you're at. In case you don't
Yes,
check in a reasonable amount of time, they can at least have an idea of where you they last knew you were to be. This is just sound advice, even in day to day life.
yes, yes,
Uh,
yes. That is true. Um, though we hope you enjoyed our podcast, and hopefully we'll see you again on the 26th of January for our next episode. Otherwise, feel free to leave a comment or question or what have you in the comments below, of course. This is Jennifer and David with a deep look into the paranormal. With that,
and
go
standard
ahead.
YouTube stuff of like, subscribe, because when you say it, people do it.
Yes, please like, subscribe. If you disliked it, hit the dislike. We don't. That doesn't bother us. We want those interactions, whether positive or good, because it lets us know what you like and don't like. And with that, I bid you all good night.
Take care, stay safe.